A week after my grandmother's funeral, I received a call from a lawyer. At first, I thought it was a scam because my grandmother wasn't rich. At least that's what everyone in the family believed. She lived a simple life, a small apartment, a modest pension, nothing that suggested she owned anything valuable. So when the lawyer introduced himself and asked if I was Margaret Lawson's grandson, I was confused. Yeah, I replied. Then he said something that stopped me in my tracks. Your grandmother left you a property in her will. A property, I laughed. There had to be some mistake. My grandmother didn't own a property, at least not one that anyone knew about, but the lawyer sounded serious. He gave me an address, a small town nearly 3 hours away, a place I had never heard my grandmother mention. Not once. After the call ended, I immediately contacted my mother. I expected her to explain everything. Instead, she sounded just as shocked as I was. What house? She asked. I've never heard of any house. That was the first time something felt strange, because my grandmother told my mother everything, or so we thought. Following weekend, I drove to the address. The further I drove, the more uneasy I felt. The road became narrower, the houses became fewer, and eventually I found myself surrounded by trees. Then I saw it, an old house sitting quietly at the end of a dirt road, hidden from the world, almost as if it had been forgotten. I stepped out of my car and stared. The place looked abandoned. The paint was peeling. The windows were dusty. The garden had long been overtaken by weeds. Yet somehow, it didn't feel empty. It felt like a place holding its breath, waiting. The lawyer had left a key in a lockbox. With trembling hands, I unlocked the front door. The hinges groaned as it opened. A cloud of dust floated into the air. Inside, everything looked frozen in time. Old furniture, faded curtains, books lining wooden shelves, family photographs sitting exactly where they had been left years ago. I slowly walked from room to room, trying to understand why my grandmother had hidden this place from everyone. Then I noticed something strange. On a small table near the fireplace sat a framed photograph. It wasn't unusual at first. It was a picture of my grandmother when she was younger, smiling, happy, but she wasn't alone. Standing beside her was a man I had never seen before, his arm wrapped around her shoulder. The two of them looked like a family. I turned the photograph over, and that's when my heart stopped. Written on the back were the words, "To Margaret and our son, Daniel, summer 1978. I read it again, and again, and again. Our son, Daniel. I froze, because my mother's name wasn't Daniel. None of my uncles were named Daniel. In fact, nobody in our family had